Scars of Honor is incredible. Your FOMO is completely justified if you aren't currently in the playtest right now. That is something I would love to be able to tell you, but based on what I've played so far, I can't. I just can't. It is a rough technical alpha in every sense of the word, and I mean rough. I appreciate the developers' transparency and their willingness to be open with the community. I do. But this test should have been conducted behind closed doors with a strict NDA. When you invite a massive portion of the player base and a bunch of content creators to poke around the foundation before the concrete is even dry, you're asking for a cesspool of complaints. You set the expectation up to fail. I actually managed to log in on the Thursday when the test launched, but because of the massive lag, I wasn't able to play. The game was literally unplayable for me. Unplayable. So I did what any sensible adult would do. I hit Alt F4 and I told myself I would try again on the weekend. To my surprise, logging in on Saturday actually worked. The game was technically playable. I only spent about 2 to 3 hours with it, but honestly, that's more than enough. You see the entire loop in that initial window. Are you with me? But despite the massive lag spikes, game-breaking bugs, and Alt F4 moments, there are a few structural choices they are getting right. Wait, let me check my notes. What did I write down here? Alright, actual bones of the game. Let's look at that. Starting with the character creator. It isn't mind-blowing. It is a basic starting point that needs more variety before launch. I feel like everyone is going to look the same. You will most likely hide your head with the helmet eventually anyway, so maybe it doesn't matter. You can go completely bald and throw a mustache on, so I have to give them points for that. The bald and mustache combo remains undefeated. What I actually like about the setup is the structural RPG choice. You have two distinct factions, the Sacred Order and the Domination. Each faction has its own separate races. There are 6 races to choose from right now. I am a huge fan of this kind of separation. It creates that old school tribalism flavor right from the start. From an RPG standpoint, it adds a lot of necessary flavor to the world. I went with the Infernal Demon for my first character, but the real star of the show and the most interesting part of the game design is the talent tree. We had 4 classes available for this test: Paladin, Mage, Ranger, and Druid. The talent trees for these classes are massive, web-like structures, heavily inspired by Path of Exile. We're talking 150 to 200 nodes per class. Are you seeing this? Gives you genuine agency over your build. You aren't just picking numbers, you are picking a true archetypes. You can build a battle mage or lean completely into the elementalist. Obviously, players are going to optimize the fun out of it eventually. People will just end up reading guide for the best build. You can't really avoid that in the modern gaming. The community will always find the most efficient path, but I am happy as long as there is more than one viable build per class at the end of the day. Talent tree is the game's skeleton, and right now, it is the best part of the experience. The world interaction loops are another positive. Gathering and crafting minigames are surprisingly satisfying. Whether it's the timing-based mining or the hold and release logging, they're actually fun early on. Hitting perfects in the minigames make you feel like you're actually doing something, rather than just watching a progress bar fill up. There's also these massive group nodes out in the world, big mining spots that literally requires a group of players to complete. It is an easy, organic way to force people to group up with randoms, and it just works. They clearly understand the social dynamics required for a good MMO, even if the execution is raw. So, the vision is there. RPG foundation with the races and factions is solid, but the execution. That is where we hit the massive wall of problems. The performance and combat feel terrible in this test. Terrible. Performance goes into the category of expected playtest jank, but I don't understand how you can properly test the game's combat loops when the frame rate drops from 120 FPS down to 15 in seconds. It makes testing completely impossible, at least for me. And when the frames do stabilize, the combat itself just isn't very good right now. It desperately needs an action camera. The game relies on tap targeting with a mix of skill shots, but the targeting system needs a complete overhaul. It isn't just bad, it is sticky and awful. Hitboxes are incredibly small. It is a nightmare to reliably click on a specific target. If you try to use tap cycling in the middle of the chaotic group fight, it constantly fails to cycle the enemy right in front of you. And because the targeting is so sticky, you can easily click off or unselect the target once you have it locked. In a game that features skill shots and reticle-based abilities, precision is everything. Sticky targeting ruins any sense of control. It just sucks. And it isn't just who you are hitting, it is how you move while doing it. The freeform movement sounds good on paper, but it fails in practice. If you press S, your character turns around and runs backwards the camera and runs towards the camera instead of backpedaling. You cannot kite enemies the way you do in World of Warcraft or any standard MMO. Your character always faces the target when attacking, making your positioning feel entirely out of your control. It is the exact same type of combat that made me absolutely hate Throne and Liberty. When your character blindly follows the monster instead of your camera inputs, it removes agency from the player. If I am not in full control of my character's movement and positioning, the combat is fundamentally broken, in my mind. Developers promised the combat update is coming, they need it. Right now, it feels like a fighting underwater. Keep the tap targeting, but bring it into this century. An action camera implementation would do a lot of heavy lifting here, I think. Anyway, it's okay. Time to calm down, relax. There's one other quick observation worth mentioning. The looting and the quest rewards feel incredibly unrewarding right now. You kill a massive mob or finish a long quest, and it just doesn't feel like you're getting anything worth the effort. I fully expect them to tune that up before launch, but it's just how the game feels right now. So, where does that leave us? Right now, Scars of Honor is a buggy, laggy mess with the broken combat and awful targeting, but the massive talent trees, the faction separation, and the world interaction prove that they actually understand RPG depth. There is some real potential under the jank, but based on experience, this game needs at least 1 or 2 years of heavy development and polish before it's genuinely playable as like a daily game. And time is a luxury they might not have. The MMORPG market is about to get incredibly crowded. We have heavy hitters looming on the horizon. Ion 2 is coming, Throne Odyssey is coming, we have Classic Plus rumors, Arcade Chronicles is coming. Scars of Honor needs to nail down its combat feel quickly. They need to fix the combat issues, implement an action camera, and smooth out the targeting. If they can nail the foundation, they might just carve out dedicated niche MMO refugees looking for an old school, theme park experience. If they don't, this massive potential will just get buried under the competition. Anyways, tell me in the comments what do you think about Scars of Honor if you played it. I hope you have a good day. Bye bye.